Okay, so we're very nearly there in terms of getting this working. The first thing that I'm going to do is just comment out the template here, and we're going to focus on our migration base class. So over in migrations, let's create out the file that we kind of thought and specified earlier. And this is just migration.php. So let's go ahead and create this class. So migration, and let's bring in the namespace for this. And this needs to extend the abstract migration from Phinx. So let's pull this in as well. Now inside of here, we have an init method, which allows us to do something as this migration is being run. Now in this case, what we want to do is boot up a new capsule manager, much like we did over in our database just here. But from this, we want to extract Laravel schema builder. That will give us the functionality that we saw earlier on in the introduction when we were building these up. So let's go ahead and assign this schema to a new manager. That's our capsule manager that we saw earlier. And immediately from this, we're going to extract that schema instance. Let's go ahead and pull the namespace in for this. You can go ahead and alias this if it makes it a little bit clearer. So we can go ahead and do this. I think I prefer that. And that is pretty much it done. The only obvious thing that we need to do here is go ahead and just add in a schema property to this. So now that we have commented out the template that we're using, when we go ahead and now run Phinx create, and in this case something like create users table, that's going to go ahead and use that base class that we've just created. So if we come over here, you can see that this now extends app, database, migrations, and migration. And in this case, we have a / just here, which we don't really need. So we can go ahead and just get rid of that. Okay, so that's step one, but let's just take a look at what happens when we go ahead and use our up and down migrations. So inside of here, Phinx allows us to have an up and a down and a change migration. We're not going to be using change because we have the power of Laravel schema builder to handle any changes we need to make. So let's just go ahead and do a dump when we have our up migration on this schema, just so we can see what we get. So if we come over and run Phinx migrate, and in my case, I'm actually getting an error, and this is probably just my local settings. So let's just switch this over to 8889, and I think in this case, the host is only configured to 127.0.0.1. So let's come over and run this again. And there we go. So this is a dump of our schema builder, which we can now use as we saw earlier in the course. So it says this was migrated here. Of course, we're not actually doing anything. If you are playing around with this, just make sure to delete your migrations table if you are going ahead and running these, because Phinx will go ahead and create that in there. Okay, so now that we've done this, we have a base migration, which gives us the ability to use a nice schema builder to build up our database, but we still don't have a kind of default template for our migrations. We still have to, every time we create a migration, manually create up, manually create down, and manually create anything else we need to do. So what we're going to do is delete this migration, head over to the next part, and look, as we saw in our config a little bit earlier, at this template just here.